Gail and I are just having a blast as we're reading through the books of the Bible, one chapter at a time. We just finished uh, reading through the Torah, the Pentateuch, the books of Moses, uh, which are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And that was exciting to follow their journey. And so we have a Bible app guy that kind of helps us. And so he shares a little bit, then we hear the scripture being read, and then Gail and I interact on each chapter. It's really been exciting. And now we're in the book of Joshua. We felt like, gosh, we had to, it's almost like you got to finish Joshua. Sometimes I think we call it the Pentateuch. I think we should have called it the Sexitude or something. I don't know. Because you've got to finish their journey. And when they get into the promised land. Well, in Joshua chapter 5, the 1 through 9, I'm not going to read that because it kind of grosses me out. But God tells Joshua, you got to circumcise all those guys. They got to circumcise them, the men that were ready for the army. No, they had the group when they came out of Egypt, if you remember, and with Moses, and they did go through circumcision. But that generation that came out of Egypt that rebelled against God, they couldn't go into the promised land. 40 years they were in the wilderness. That whole generation had to die out. But there was a new generation born in the wilderness. These are the guys. And God says, you got to circumcise them. Ugh, ugh. So they did. They all got circumcised. Ugh. And God did say, now they can rest a bit, take it easy, so they can heal. Um, ah, I think of circumcision, because Paul talks about that too. And in Hebrews, we hear it's not of the skin, but circumcision of the heart. I like that. Circumcision of the heart. Well, anyway, so they get circumcised, they've healed, and they're almost ready to go into battle. They're almost ready to conquer their first city, Jericho, Yeah, boy, I'll talk about that. I may even sing about that when we get there. But here's how this Joshua chapter 5 ends. Let me read it to you, and I'm going to read it through the Message Bible. The people of Israel continued to camp at Gilgal. They celebrated the Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month on the plains of Jericho. By the way, I'm reading this through the Message. Right away, the day after Passover, they started eating the produce of that country, unraised bread, roasted grain, and no more manna. The manna stopped as soon as they started eating the food grown in the land. There was no more manna. For the people of Israel that year ate from the crops of Canaan. And then while Joseph was near Jericho, he looked up and he saw right in front of him a man standing holding his drawn sword. And Joshua stepped up to him and said, whose side are you on, ours or our enemies? He said, neither. I am the commander of God's army. I just arrived. Joshua fell down, faced the ground, and worshiped. He asked, what orders does my master have for his servant? God's army commander ordered Joshua, take your sandals off your feet. The place you are standing is holy. And Joshua did. Kind of interesting as you read some of the commentaries and who is this commander of the Lord's army. Most believe it's Jesus. I don't think it's really Michael or Gabriel. No, I think it's God or God the Son, because Joshua worships him. He falls down and worships him. And it's interesting. He says, it's almost like Jesus or God's commander of the army said, I'm on either side. I'm commanding the Lord's army. That's the side I'm on, And then he tells Joshua, take your sandals off, for the ground you're on is holy. Where have you heard that before? Yeah, with Moses. When Moses at the burning bush, and God's commanding Moses, he's commissioning Moses. Here's the task I have for you. And out of the burning bush, the voice says, take your sandals off, Moses, for you are on holy ground. That's what Joshua is doing right now. And Joshua did it. Now, Gail and I had some fun talking about that. And it's interesting. Could that have been Joshua's commissioning? Maybe in a sense, I don't know, was that his ordination service? He was given his task, he was given his job. You know, when I was thinking of the Apostle Paul, where did his commissioning take place? Where did his ordination service take place? I don't know. On the road to Damascus, or when Ananias came to him and he's blind and he touched him and his eyes were open and he saw. I got to thinking about that more and more. I can tell you where my ordination service took place. It was in Phoenix at First Baptist Church. And after I went through the ordination council, which was kind of an interesting experience, they had an ordination service for me. And my family was there, and a lot of the people of the church was there, and it was really quite a kind of neat service. And I came up, and a lot of the ministers that were there, and even retired ministers, would come and lay hands on me, and a prayer was said over me. Like, here was my task. Here was my purpose. But, I got to thinking, I think that commission of following God happened long before my ordination service. I could think back in my life where God had a special touch on me. And he said, here's my job for you, John. Here's my commission for you. And it's still going on today. Oh, I can't wait to get to Jericho. We'll go up there another time. But here's what I want you to think about. Where has God commissioned you? Where has God, or is God commissioning you? Where are you experiencing the hand of God on your life saying, here's my job for you. Here's my command for you. And Joshua did it. And may we do it too. Joshua, great book. And we're not done with it yet. God bless.